right, welcome back to the IMNerd Podcast, guys. I'm your host, Freyway, and I'm here with my co-host, Kenny.
Yep.
And today, we have a very, very special guest, one of the most dominant players in the last several years, the guy who was on the team that won the last YCS before the pandemic. He just topped YCS Niagara, got pretty far in bracket, and honestly, just one of the people who's been innovating and destroying the competition. Dominic Couch is with us today. I'm so happy to have you on, Dom. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm glad to be here. I've wanted to come on for a while. I've listened to a few of them. You did one with Marcus Hayden, and me and Marcus Hayden grew up together. We went to the same local.
Oh shit!
So
y'all been competitors for a while.
From the same area. Yeah, I'm from the same area as Marcus and the Kahn brothers and Matt Kalea, RJ.
So those are a lot of those people you just named. I know all of them actually. I know RJ, I know the Kahn brothers, I know Marcus obviously, and they're all really good players. So I feel like you came up around a good amount of decent competition, which probably made you better.
Somewhat. When I went to locals, more so it was when I was a dragon duelist, and we were all terrible except Matt and RJ, right? But
yeah, because they're older.
And Dirk was good, but I never really interacted with Dirk when I was a kid. But yeah, I don't know. I came back to Yugioh in Pendulum FTK format.
Yeah, so it's 2018.
Yeah, that's when I started playing again, and Marcus was a champion, and then Faisal and Imran were both champions, and I was oh
yeah,
my god,
it's kind of crazy. I still think that they have one of the craziest stories, only because I hung out with them before any of them had won a YCS, and then I quit. And right after I quit, well, Marcus won while I was still playing. That was the last YCS I topped, I think. The one where he won in Minneapolis. And then after that, I quit. And then Faisal and his brother both won. And I was like, what the fuck happened? Your entire group that I was hanging out with at YCSs, I don't even know why, but at YCSs, I just started hanging out with Marcus and Faisal and his brother and their whole posse. And then next thing I know, all of them became YCS champions. And Marcus always talks about, it's just a really weird phenomenon. But to see people who and you're just chilling with, and they sometimes scrub out or whatever, and the next thing you know is these are the best players in the game right now. They're holding it down. There was a period where Faisal and Muhammad were just going back to back, finals appearances, high top cut, and yeah, it's really nice to see how all you guys came up. But where did you how old were you when you first started playing Yu-Gi-Oh?
Oh man. So when I first started playing would have been when I was a dragon duelist, which would have been. I mean, I'm gonna make everybody feel old because I'm a baby.
Yes, you are very young, apparently, which is so crazy to me.
I think I was 11 years old, and that would have been 2000. Was it 2022? So 2013, 2012. So I would have been. If it was 2012, I would have been 10, 9. Somewhere in there.
Oh my god.
10?
Hey.
10?
Yeah, that's insane. Did you have success as a dragon duelist? Were you actually good then?
I top forward the Detroit Nationals with dragon duels, but other than that, no. I only played dragon duels for 2 years. I did not top in 2013, which is the first time I ever tried to play a bigger event. It was in my hometown. It was Nationals in Chicago at Navy Pier.
I was there.
Real quick, I always knew about Dragon Duels. That's for the younger kids. Is it a different format, or is it just the same format but age gated?
Same format.
Okay, I was never sure if it was a different format.
Yeah, they play the same exact format, but it's age locked.
Age gated, yeah.
Yeah, but at some point, you grow up and you come back to the game, and I don't know what the fuck clicked, but you have just been destroying. I always wonder, what happened? Where did you get so good from? How did that happen? What was your first top?
My first top was the 200th YCS.
And that was where?
In Columbus, Ohio.
Okay. Who won that one?
That was the one Manav Duar won.
Okay. I don't think I was there.
Yeah, it was the 200th YCS in Ohio, and that was in 2018.
Yeah, I definitely was. I was done with Yu-Gi-Oh in 2018, so yeah, I definitely was not there. But okay, so that was 200.
Goki, Sky Striker shenanigans.
What were you playing?
I played Sky Striker. I built my deck with Marcus and another one of our good friends that you might know. His name is Bernardo Miranda.
Yeah, definitely heard of him.
Me, Marcus, and Bernardo were just like labbing this striker deck at Marcus's house. Like me, the three of us, like for a long time, and that's really like the only event that me and Marcus like really tested for. Which is kind of crazy, right? Because you would expect like me, Marcus, or like the cons, like all of us to work together. I was friends with I was like really good friends with Marcus, and we'd hang out and play a lot. But a lot of the times we would not agree on the same deck, and so
that's normal.
And they all played for like TGS Trades or whatever, which was our friend Nick Vidmar's store and Frank Bam, and they all played for like the same team in Chicago, and I was kind of like the guy on the outside, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like they all tested together a lot, but I hung out with Marcus and would like play with Marcus, but I never played with like the cons or any of that.
I'll say this. Every time you say the cons, it just makes me laugh because I know you know about all the fucking drama that's going on right now in the community with Faisal Khan. But that shit is so funny because they're like, he's a con man.
He went to the same high school as me, man. This shit is kind of crazy.
It's so funny. Kenny, I'll just fill you in a little bit from what I've seen, but he's being memed to death right now. Basically, there's like a lot of rumors and speculation going on. I'm going to say allegedly because I don't know the facts, but there's a lot of
favorite word.
Yes, there's a lot of allegedly scamming that he did in the community with like cards and stuff, and selling the same cards to multiple people. So like, I sell it to you, you send me the PayPal money. I sell it to you, you send it the PayPal money or whatever.
Yeah, it like definitely happened. Which is like
that's what
part.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say allegedly because again, I am not part of it, but I just see it comes on my timeline because I follow a lot of the funniest pages, and they say like his name has Khan in it, so it's just his name. But his name.
You gotta get your hustle on somehow, man.
Yeah, so
it's a recession. We gotta make money.
It is a recession. People gotta do what they gotta do. But so if you were testing back with like Marcus and those guys back then, and they were on a team, have you been part of a team or anything like that? Like, were you sponsored at any point or like?
Yeah. So I'm actually. I used to be known somewhat as a little bit of a team hopper.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a man who knew what was best for him.
Yeah. So I guess I could tell you. Like, do you want only the bigger name teams I've played for, or do you want them all?
You could just tell me the bigger names because some of them I probably won't recognize if they're like the local,
Yeah. So like I initially played for like this team for my locals, and then went on to play for like another smaller like Wisconsin team, and then like there were some issues there, so I left, and then the first big name team that I played for was PPG.
Okay. I was part of that team.
I became really good friends with Kamal and Ruben and Fredella.
Yep, three other really good players.
And then when I was on PPG, Kamal and Fredella both got banned. So PPG kind of like died.
Yeah, because that was PPG. Kamal,
like,
yeah,
like the core of PPG, like the people that were traveling and topping were like me, Kamal, Fredella, and Ruben.
Yeah, so
like 2 of the 4 of us get shot, right? Like,
yeah, that's God, that had to be so not fun.
Yeah, and then I became like good friends with Jesse Cotton, and this brought me to the end of my team hopping. And I played for Game Nation. I met the owner of Game Nation with Jesse at 2 of these regionals, like back to back, that I was doing on the World's Grind. Like I lived in Chicago and Jesse lives in Canada, so when we were both doing the World's Grind, we'd see each other like almost every weekend.
Yeah.
And so I met the owner of his team. Me and the owner of his team like super hit it off, and I was already friends with Jesse, and he like kind of scooped me up off PPG, and I started playing for Game Nation. And I played for Game Nation from 2019, like the beginning of 2019, almost like March 2019, all the way until COVID, where the team didn't disband. They still have like some of the Canadians, but they let like me, Asala, Furman, and Jesse all go.
Yeah.
And then during COVID, I joined Jobber, and then after I
A
topped
wrestling fan, I like the name of that team.
Jobber?
Yeah,
Jobber is a great name.
Jobber's awesome.
What does that do
But-
with wrestling? I'm lost on that one.
So in wrestling, a jobber is so you know the superstar wrestlers like The Rock, Stone Cold, right?
Yep.
So a jobber are wrestlers that you get over on. They're wrestlers that almost always lose. Like their role in the community is to like lose and make other wrestlers look good.
Yeah.
That's what jobbers are. They're
That's
wrestlers
pretty
that they just lose and they make other wrestlers look good. They get other wrestlers over and just shit like that. So when somebody gets called a jobber, that's kind of what it is. It's just like, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah,
I love that name.
That's big. But yeah, so I played for Jobber for one YCS after COVID. I played for YCS Charlotte, and I topped. But then I joined my current team that I play for now, still, and that is Top Choice Gaming. They're out in Colton, California. Really, really great guys. Sponsored by Karan Gill and them. And
who's on that team with you?
So it's pretty funny actually. They gave me like the team captain role.
Of course.
And then they pretty much were like, "Hey, you're the first like pro that we picked up.
Yeah.
You can pick your teammates."
Oh shit! I would really like that.
Yeah. So they were like, "Sign whoever you want." Awesome. And
I like that a lot.
I brought Avery Foster with me.
Mm-hmm.
Clifton Land. Alexander Juneha.
Yep. Base Lolly.
Mount Fuji is he likes to be called nowadays.
He likes to be called what now?
Mount Fuji.
Okay.
Is he a big fella? Is that a big fella name?
No, like we're talking about Base Lolly, right?
Fella. Yeah, we are talking about Lolly.
Okay, so his name used to be Base Lolly in the community for like a decade, Kenny, and apparently now, and he's a skinny, like Indian guy. I think he's like Indian descent, right? Yeah, he's like skinny, tall, funny guy. Like he's always been around as far as I remember, and he's not big at all though. Like if you mean like as in weight, he's not. But now he wants to be called Mount Fuji for some reason. So I'll respect it. Whatever.
And the last three pros like names that I brought with me were Kenny Nguyen.
Yep. Know him.
Benji Wyman and Blake Funderburg.
Oh, I like all of them, especially the last two. I really like Blake. Blake is hilarious to me.
Blake is great.
There's also some young names in it because Blake is also a kid. Like, well, not literally, but you guys
are like the same age.
Yes, you guys are both young adults, like very, very young adults. Okay, so I'm gonna just ask you this because I'm sure people are interested in this type of thing, and I don't want to be pretentious, but I just wonder how many tops do you have? Do you know like the number?
Do you want Konami?
You can do it however you want because I tell people, and I think that this is the best way to do it, is like Konami, but also if you want to throw in ARGs or like I don't even know what else, PPGs or whatever, just like have them separate. It doesn't matter to me. Like I'm not really harping on, what people classify them as. I just know you've been doing a lot. So
let me double check.
Yep, do your thing.
I'm pretty sure I have 22 now.
Oh.
I think 17 are Konami, but I can double check.
I have 22 as well. 16 are Konami.
Damn. Now he's got to go out of his way to get at least one more.
Well, I mean, he's obviously going to surpass me. I haven't played in 6 years, and I don't think they're doing any Edison YCSs anytime soon. So, if they did,
well, Dominic looks me up. Stuff like this always reminds me of. I don't know if you ever saw. There's like an interview. It's like Kobe and Shaq, but they're interviewing each other, and Shaq or one of them asked the other one about when Kobe got the 5th ring because Shaq had like 4 championship rings and then Kobe got 5. And he was like really happy about it that he was able to get one more than Shaq.
Yeah.
And because I think they got 3 when they were together, and then when they were separate, Shaq got 1 and then Kobe got 2. And Kobe was like in an interview after the game, he was like, I got 1 more than Shaq and shit. And anyway, they're like, they have like a fun little rivalry.
Yeah, because it's the same thing with like a Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, right? Like they were on the Patriots together for 20 years and they won 6 Super Bowls, right? Together. And then Tom goes to a different team for the first time ever in his career. And it's this huge question of who was it really? Was it really Tom Brady or was it really Bill Belichick? And Brady won immediately when he went to another team. Like, first year at the Buccaneers was like, win the Super Bowl. Now he has more wins than any franchise in the entire sport. Like, one person has more wins than anyone in the fucking sport of football. It's just crazy, right? Like, that is a crazy stat, but it also kind of put to rest, or at least for a lot of people, there's always going to be haters, and Tom Brady has a lot of them, but like, it put to rest the question of like, can you do this without Belichick, right? Like that, like you prove that you can clearly still win, even if you're not under that one coach. And I think that Bill Belichick obviously is a super integral part of the reason why Brady is as good as he is. Like I think they work together, and that's like the thing. But yeah, I get exactly what you mean when you say having that rivalry and just trying to have one more than
your friend or whatever.
Yeah, especially if the person. Yeah. Especially if people are trying to say like, oh, you only could do it with this person, right? Like they're like, oh, you had Shaq, so that's the only reason why you can win. And it's like, okay, well now I don't have Shaq, and I still won twice. But
it was actually really funny. So after I topped Charlotte, Max Reynolds comes up to me and he goes, "Well, you did exactly what you said you were going to do 4 years ago. You tied me."
I
thought that was so funny.
So wait, he knew how many tops you had too.
Yeah.
I love how competitive Yu-Gi-Oh is. So okay, so you said it's 22, and that includes 17 Konami, and then the rest of them are like a mixture, I guess, of PBGs, ARGs, or something like that.
Yeah, and then like throughout the Konami ones, four of them are like the remote duel ICSs.
Yeah. Those are fun.
I topped 3 of the remote duel ICSs, and then I top 4'd the Invitational. So some people don't count the Invitational. So if you don't count that, I have 16 Konami. But
sure.
Yeah.
How does the Invitational? Yeah, go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, I was going to say, why wouldn't you? So, for example, I don't know if Fraser's like this too. I don't know if you're in the Smash Bros or other fighting games, Dom. But
I've watched them.
And Super Smash Bros, like Melee and Ultimate, there's one of the biggest tournaments of the year is called the Summit. And those are invitationals. And they're some of the biggest tournaments of the year, some of the most competitive. There's also fun things that happen in the weekend, but those tournaments are regarded and held very highly in the communities, like competitive tournaments. Anyway, and I think in most communities, invitationals are usually regarded very highly because that's kind of the point of them. It's like we're grabbing whoever we think are like the best players at this time and throwing them in this gauntlet. I say all that to say,
kind of the problem.
What are the deals? How come people don't count invitationals or whatever in this case in the Konami events?
So because of like the nature of remote duel, like the best duelists did not always want to play, and you had to play like a remote duel, like a qualifier. Then after you do well and like get your invite in that qualifier, then you have to win like your pod that you qualify into, and then after you win or get second place, you have to get first or second in your pod. Then out of the 8 pods, those 16 duelists play in the invitational, but like, the best at a YCS, like all the best names are going to be there always, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody's going to be there at like the invitationals. Like it's like there are some great names that end up there because they decided to play, but not everybody always played. So
and I can attest to that because I know Steve Silverman hates remote duel wise. Like he refuses to do like remote duels, for example. Really good player, right? Like one of the best 2 ICS champion. Several, like he has double-digit tops, and he also doesn't play Yu-Gi-Oh that much, but he's like one of the most decorated players in the game's history.
Really smart.
But he like hates to play remote duel YCS. He's not the only person who feels like that. A lot of people just don't want to play remote duels in general. And so I see what you're saying. It kind of alienates a part of the most competitive player base. Who's just like, yeah, I'm good at the game, but I don't want to play this. Like this format I don't care for.
That's understandable, but I would still say, regardless of who enters, the event is the event and it still counts. Because like same thing happened with a bunch of games during COVID, right? Like a bunch of fighting games had online tournaments. A bunch of players didn't like the online netcode for those fighting games, so they didn't enter. But like those tournaments still happen and there were still winners. And to say like those people didn't win a Street Fighter tournament or a Smash tournament is like insane. And then there's a lot of players who people are like, oh, he's only good because it's online. Once real events come back, he won't be good anymore. And then those players stayed good.
Yes, one of those players became the second best in the world. So just, but yeah, I know that the whole stigma around like the remote stuff and there was all this. There's a lot going on with the remote stuff, especially I guess like this year and last year. Every time somebody won one, there was always fighting on Zodiac Duelist, and it seems like that's just a thing in general. But I always say haters going to talk regardless, so might as well give them a fucking good story.
I will say this: Zodiac Duelist, I'm guessing, is just like a forum or whatever, right? It's a Yu-Gi-Oh forum.
It's just a Facebook page, but it's the biggest Yu-Gi-Oh. I think it's the biggest Yu-Gi-Oh page. Period. Like
okay, so it is like a set. So what I was going to say is, I've heard you guys mention Zodiac Duelist a couple times in general on other episodes.
Yeah,
I was going to say I'm fucking shocked that there's still a Yu-Gi-Oh forum because everything just moved to like Reddit.
Yeah. So yeah, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in like a Duelist Grounds when it used to be really big or Pojo anymore. That shit's basically done. I know that there's remnants of it, but like the community at large is on Zodiac Duelist, but you get a lot of trolls on there and a lot of shit posting and a lot of copy pasta type stuff. It looks like a fucking Twitch stream chat. Like when you go on Zodiac Duelist and you just it looks like this. You ever see like a Twitch stream chat where they just keep copying pasting the same shit over and over again? It looks like that. I don't go in there often, but like when there's something funny happening, I love it. Like I respect it for what it is, but a lot of times I wish that people could just stay on topic or like I don't know. Some of the opinions are so bad, and that's not necessarily a Zodiac issue. That's just like a player, the community issue. Like some people just have these really warped mindsets on like ban lists, for example. Like right now they're like, oh, this should be like we don't need to ban Mystic Mind now because everybody has found counterplay for it. It's like that's not how that works. Like that card still needs to go. Like why the fuck do you think that just because people are Eradicating in their main deck that it makes Mystic Mind okay to stay around? Like that is such a stupid mindset. But like that's the type of stuff that you'll see on there, and it's just I don't even try to argue. You will never catch me arguing with somebody in the comment section of a Zodiac post. I just refuse. They're gonna have to tag me directly, and I'll have to feel like I have time today. Like I'm just not a fan. But I wanted to ask you about. So we talked a bit about your, how many tops you have and stuff like that. But obviously, the biggest accomplishment is if people are looking at this on Patreon, looking at the video version of the podcast. Dominic Couch, we have him with Scott Page and Steve Silverman on their YCS winning team, going to finish that, which I think is a brilliant name, by the way. And they won a 3v3 YCS. It was in Vegas or California?
Yeah, it was in Vegas.
It was in Vegas, yeah. So you were in one of my favorite cities in the world. I love Vegas. It's so fun, especially if you're 21.
I was going to say, that is a highly degenerate take. Only degenerates love Vegas.
Listen, Vegas is awesome.
It's my favorite city, and I've never been there above the age of 21.
Right. So, like, the only time you've been there, you won a YCS, and then, like, weren't able to actually gamble because you're not of age yet. Well, but yeah, Vegas is awesome. So, how did this team come about? Because, I don't want to just say it's because you guys' weight, but, like, the name of the team was...
Okay, that is where the name of the team came from.
Yes, the name of the team clearly came from you guys being the biggest duelists in the room. And I love, like, the name is so good. Going to finish that because it's like, whenever I'm eating with any one of my friends who's like, on the bigger side, they definitely will look over at my plate and I have something left and like, yo, you gonna finish that? So as soon as I heard that name, I thought it was hilarious. But at the same time, prior to that event, Steve wasn't really playing that much. Like he had just learned about the dinosaur deck. You said what?
He still wasn't playing at the tournament. He had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, he was just like, I don't really play, but I'm gonna go anyway, have fun. It's Vegas, right? So it's like, even if I scrub out, even if I don't do well, I'm still in Vegas, which is kind of a great thing about going to events in like Orlando, California, or Vegas, because no matter what happens, you have something to do. But yeah, he goes and joins the team with you and Scott Page. And I watched a lot of the live stream for that event because I couldn't believe that you guys were like just crawling through Top Cut. I mean, those games were disastrous. Like, I just saw the fields that, like, I know Scott and Steve played dinosaurs, and they were just destroying people, like, with the quickness. Especially Scott. Scott knew exactly what he was doing, and then after Scott would finish really quick, then he would be, like, showing Steve, like, okay, like, this is what you want to do here. Meanwhile, you were having your own games on the side. But ultimately, how did that team form? Like, did you guys know going into Vegas, like, we're going to play together, and this is what we're going to... Okay, so what happened?
Okay, so without getting into, like, any drama or too much detail, I was kicked off my team while I was already, like while I was on my plane to Las Vegas.
Oh, shit. This is actually crazy.
I was supposed to play with Cody Angeloff and Manav Duar.
Right. So you had a 3v3 team going into this event.
Yeah. And then I got removed, and they added Shuping. Shuping?
Yep. He's from my local, so I know exactly who you're talking about.
And it was because, so pretty much the UDS that Shuping won was the week before Vegas. Like, they were back-to-back weekends.
Yeah.
So he won, and I was flying from Tulsa, Oklahoma, to Las Vegas. And I was just spending the week in Vegas because it was cheaper and it was more fun, right?
Yeah.
So, sure. And then he won the belt, and yeah. Again, without going into too much, like, I don't want to bring up the past. So
yeah.
I got removed. They got him, and they got 2 buys and other stuff.
So wait. Okay, this is juicy. So if you have a guy on your team that has the belt,
yeah, you all get 2 buys.
Oh, that is fucking gross.
Yeah. So like if you play a 3v3 with Joey Chow, you all get 2 buys.
That's insane. Yo, that is insane to me. So like you are incentivized to have a team with someone with a UDS belt if you can. Like, obviously it's very privileged to be able to even have somebody that would be willing to join and play with you on a 3v3, but knowing, like, I don't know any of the drama. I have no idea. I had no idea that you were on a different team completely before this YCS.
Listen, regardless of the drama, the fact that you got removed from a team lineup, but your new team, you guys won.
That is the best shit ever.
That night you must have felt so fucking good.
I would have cried. I hope you cried.
You must have felt good.
I definitely cried.
I would have cried so hard for, like, that. That's an insane story. Why is Kenny? A lot of times we have people on this podcast, the Yu-Gi-Oh players, like the great ones, and they always have these insane stories. So
like aren't really known. That like nobody really.
Yeah, like
that's a good nugget of the fucking story. Like that is awesome.
Like, imagine flying somewhere. You're like, okay, this is the team I'm going to be on. I'm going to play, and then you get kicked off the team or removed from the team, or something happens between you and the team.
You're in the air, and they're like, you're not on the team anymore. You're like, what the fuck?
Like, literally what happened is I paid for Wi-Fi on my flight, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to watch something, and I paid the stupid person text because I forgot to download it, right?
Yeah.
So then I paid for Wi-Fi, and then I get a message from Scott and Silverman, hey, do you want to play with us in Vegas? And I'm like, sorry, I can't. I'm committed to a team.
Wow.
And then 15 minutes later, I get kicked off, and I'm like, hey, have you guys found somebody yet?
And they're like, no. Yo, this is the craziest shit. So like, this was like, this was divine intervention.
It was crazy.
That shit was meant to be, Dom. That's crazy, man. I'm a big believer in, like, what's meant to be will be, and so it was meant for it to happen that way. Like this, that's how it was supposed to go. Whatever the drama was, whatever happened, it was meant to happen that way. And now you are YCS champion for it, and that's fucking great.
I'm not even mad about it. I got the good end of the deal. So.
You definitely got the good end of the deal. If I knew that I was jumping onto the team that's going to win the tournament, and also it's not like, when I say that, it's not like, you know, you're the third member, you're like a rock on that team. Like, you were honestly like the player that everybody was looking to as the leader of that team. Like, from the outside looking in, I was like, yeah, I know Dom is the guy that, like, plays a lot, like he cares a lot, like he's really, really good. And I believe you had the best record, right?
Yeah, so I lost one match that whole tournament.
Yeah, so you were just scraping everybody.
Yeah, I only lost. It's so funny. If I did not go undefeated in Swiss, we would not have topped.
What?
What does that mean?
their records in Swiss were not great, but they would lose opposite rounds.
Good.
So that meant that as long as I won,
yes. So you had to win. Right. So you had to consistently win out. That way, if like Scott lost, then Steve will win, and if Steve lost, then Scott will win. And then you were the consistent middle line, where it's like I'm always winning, basically. How many rounds it was? How many rounds was that in Swiss?
There's 10 rounds in Swiss.
Damn. So you went 9-1.
Yeah. Well, no. I lost in top 8.
Okay. Okay. Oh, you went undefeated in Swiss. You went 10-0.
Okay. Yeah.
I lost to Bowden, and man, when I needed them to have my back, they had my back.
That's awesome. Look, that's what it's about.
That's all.
Listen, you carried them through the trenches. You put them on. You went through the trenches with them on your back, and then you were tired. And they're like, "Don't worry, we got you, boss."
That's
amazing. They had me for sure.
That's awesome.
That is absolutely.
Can I say, on the note, you look like you were playing well, because the picture that's above me, if you're looking at the video, I fucking love your face in this picture. You look like, I don't know what's happening in this picture, but you look like you're just looking at your cards and looking at the field, and you're like, this guy does not know he's done. He's dead. This picture is the cockiest face I've ever. I fucking love your face. You're looking at your shit like you don't even know you're dead. You don't even know that you're fucking dead.
So, before this podcast started, me, Kenny, and Dominic Couch were all talking about how much smaller he's gotten weight-wise, during the pandemic, because the pictures that we have up are from years ago now. And, you had quite some weight on you. And even on your team, like on the team that you won with, you said this too, like you were one of the biggest, if not the biggest, right? Like you were.
Yeah, I think I weighed the most out of the three of us.
Yes. And I think you said upwards of like 500 something plus pounds.
Yeah, it was bad. Bad.
But now you informed us prior to this podcast, and I did want to talk about this, is that you actually lost like 200 pounds since then. And which is amazing, and I just want to say, like, formally congratulations on this on the podcast and everything, because that is a lot of weight to lose, and it's not easy at all. I know a lot of people who have a hard time with their weight, and just that whole, like, especially during the pandemic, a lot of people gained weight, and somehow you found the motivation and the perseverance to actually lose weight, and get yourself to a point where you feel healthy, and like you look like a new man, like even like right here, like looking at you on Discord and everything. I mean, you look good, bro. Like you really do. So I'm glad that like you're taking care of yourself and everything. How did this begin? Like, how did this weight loss journey start? Like you went to YCS in 2020, and you're on a high right now. Like you got kicked off a team or whatever. You went to YCS, like you get your retribution, and things are doing great. Then the pandemic happens, the whole world shuts down. Yugioh is basically canceled. And like, what happens where you decide, okay, I want to make a life-changing decision to better myself in this way?
Well, it was because I won. No, I'm just kidding. But,
well, that could be a catalyst, though.
Maybe a little bit, but so like a lot of my weight thing is I'm like pretty open about it. I like suffered from depression for like a long time, and that still do occasionally, but I know how to manage it now, which is like the big difference. Like that version of Dominic Couch did not know how to deal with anything.
You were also younger. I mean, you're still young compared to me and Fraser, but
old,
you're younger. Like, you learn as good time goes on.
But pretty much, I kind of woke up one day during COVID, and I'm like, man, so you can't love. I believe that you can't love anybody unless you love yourself, right?
I agree.
And I feel like I had so many people in my life, that like deserve to be loved, right? And I'm like, man, if I don't love myself and I can't fix myself, like I can't be that guy or that person that can love everybody else, because I don't even love myself. So I realized that like before I can, try to help other people and like be there for other people like I wanted to be, like I had to be there for myself first, and like kind of pick myself up out of the trenches there. And I definitely had like some help along the way from my father and some close friends of mine, like words of encouragement all the time. One of the biggest guys that, man, and I love this guy, man. I really love this guy. He would message me all the time to check in on my weight loss journey. You know him. It's Guyton Georges.
Oh yeah, I love Guyton.
Yeah,
I always say
really
Guyton is my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh player.
Yeah, I'm really close with all those guys. The Christian, Guyton, Carl, Sean, Pascal, and Guyton would check in, and I'd send Guyton updates or whatever, and it's that guy was really there for me.
So he was kind of like an accountability partner in a way.
Yeah, exactly right. Like I'd check in with him, and he'd be like good shit, like keep it up.
Yeah, that helps a lot. Like it really does. Good. I had a friend that used to call me every day and be like, "Did you go to the gym today?" And I'd be like, "No, but let me get ready now." Because like I just knowing that he was going to ask made it where I wanted to just constantly go anyway. It's like, okay, I'm gonna get a call or a text from him anyway. So either I'm going to start lying or I'm just going to fucking do it, and which is what I set out to do anyway.
Don't lie.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're only lying to yourself, right? Like he's not affected by it. My friend who would be my accountability partner, he had a perfect body anyway. So he was just like, you complain about your body, but then like you don't do anything about it. So, it doesn't do anything if you lie to me. Like you're not really lying to me. Like you're lying to yourself. But no, that's dope. I never knew that Guyton played a nice role in that, and just just motivating you and like keeping you going.
Those guys play a huge role in my life. I'm so thankful that I met them through Yu-Gi-Oh, and that goes for so many other people as well.
But yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh, the community, and honestly, the friends they mean, but the friends you make along the way, like that shit really does matter. Because I don't even think I would have played Yu-Gi-Oh as long as I did if it wasn't for the people that I've met while playing the game. Like my closest friends in life, all are Yu-Gi-Oh players to a degree. Like I met all of them basically through Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh is the reason why I like right now, even though we don't all travel and compete at every YCS, it's like these are still my closest friends though, because I don't even know how to be friends with people who are just outside of the community that much. Like I guess I'm just like so integrated into the Yu-Gi-Oh community that I only know the friends that I grew up with when I was a teenager playing the game. And yeah, they're still around today. Like I still hang out with them all the time. Like I go over to Steve's house all the time. Like every Thursday we play like, Edison and stuff like that. And like Sean McCabe pulls up, like a lot of my other friends, and we go out to eat really nice dinners and stuff. People are getting married, people having kids, but at the end of the day, like Yu-Gi-Oh brought us together originally. And I hope that it just like, we just stay best friends, forever, because I don't see why we wouldn't, right? So, but yeah, I was going to ask, for you, was it a change in like your diet, or did you like what steps did you take to kind of?
Yeah, so started like not like hard calorie counting, because like I'll be honest, like doing like I tried doing the MyFitnessPal thing, and like every time you put it in, and it's just, you just can't do that. Like it's so hard to do that every single time.
Yeah, trust me, I used to do that myself, and I do it for like a good month, and then after a while you miss it for like one day, like you stop doing it one day and then you just kind of never go back.
Exactly. So like I tried doing that, but it didn't really help that much. But I definitely would like read labels, and as long as you kept like a caloric deficit, you'd always like lose weight. So like I tried to maintain a caloric deficit, eat like regular portion sizes, and like because like you don't get that big like that was unless you are eating like a behemoth. So
yeah,
like if I just eat like a regular person, and then I went to the gym like 4 days a week for a long time. I try to go like 5.
Let me ask real quick in the middle there. In terms of the diet, you said you were eating like behemoth sizes. When you started cutting the sizes of your meal portions, did you find you were like really fucking hungry? Was there a period of time when like you were eating less and you were just like suffering because you were hungry, but then eventually it became normal? How was that transition going from eating a lot to eating, as you said, normal portions? Did you feel like you were hungry all the time? What was that transition like, and going from feeling hungry to feeling normal or whatever?
Yeah, so like anytime you like change your diet, you're gonna feel like hungry because even if it's not eating as much, even if you're not changing like the portion sizes and you're just changing like the times that you eat, you're gonna feel hungry just because like that's what your body's naturally used to is like eating it X time. Sorry, and so I like probably for a couple weeks, maybe a month, I was like kind of hungry and like I had a binge. I say had, I probably still have, but I have a binge eating disorder. So I like got that under control a lot. And once that was under control, then eating like regular meals and stuff like that. I did intermittent fasting for a long time, still do that.
Yeah, me too.
That stuff like helps a lot. And like intermittent fasting helps a lot because you're regulating it. And so like your body won't actually be like that hungry doing stuff like or at least I wasn't. Like I don't want to say like what worked for me worked for everybody else, but what worked for me was like doing the intermittent fasting and then having like one like larger meal a day. Because then you'd be like full and your body would regulate like the time that you eat. So I would try to eat around the same time every day, and then your body would just be like, "Yep, this is like the regular schedule. We're chilling."
Yeah.
Kind of deal.
Yeah, for me, when I do intermittent fasting, which I still do right now, I eat every day between 12 to 8. And usually I try not to deviate from that, but like sometimes if I don't start eating until 1, then I do from 1 to 9, for example. But I do like so for 8 hours, I'll eat through an 8-hour window, and then for the other 16 hours of the day, I'm fasting. But most of those hours I'm asleep anyway, or at least when I used to get good sleep. But now these days I stay up way too late. But yeah, intermittent fasting does help because you can only eat during whatever window you set for yourself. You can set whatever window you want, but you can only eat during that time. And what happens is this is what I found happens for me. Like you said, it's different probably for everybody, but for me, what will happen is because I don't start eating until 12. Once I start eating, you get full, and then you can only eat so much in that period. And then once you have a hard stop at 8 o'clock, for me, like it's like, okay, if I don't eat something before 8, like that's it. So if I'm still kind of hungry and it's like 7:30, then I'll eat something like real quick. And then I'm like, all right, that's it for the day. No matter like how many cravings I have, no matter how much I want, usually for me, I have a really big thing where I love sweets. I love like chocolate and candy and stuff like that. Cupcakes and all that. Like I'm a really big sweets guy. And I used to just snack really late at night. Like before bed, 12 o'clock, I'll fucking eat a Pop-Tart. Like I'll literally put a Pop-Tart in a toaster oven or whatever and just like go crazy. But like now, with the intermittent fasting, it's like, okay, I can only eat so much in an 8-hour period. My body is literally going to get full and that's it. So then the next day it just kind of repeats, and you just get, like you said, your body regulates it. So you get used to it. You get used to eating this portion size, and just kind of being like, all right, like that's how much food it takes to get you full in a day. And then, it gets easier over time. It all gets easier. Like I'm sure that you've experienced that too. After you get through that the hardest part of any diet, I feel like, or any lifestyle change is like the first 2 weeks. And then
it's hardest to start, like with anything, like forming any habit. The hardest thing to do is start it.
Yeah. So once you get past that part, you're like, all right, now I can really do this. I get addicted to the gym. Like whenever I start going to the gym, it becomes such a big part of my life. Like every time it's like, yeah, this is something I want to do 3 to 4 times a week. And people are like, damn, like you've been going to the gym like crazy. And it's just, I don't know, it becomes addictive. Like all of it becomes very addictive after a while. But yeah, 200 pounds, man, that is insane. Like, ugh, I'm going to go ahead. What were you saying?
Start. So I still got a long way to go, but it's a start.
Yeah, it's a 200 pounds. That's a fucking start. That's insane. So you also, I said earlier, you topped YCS Niagara right here, and you got, I'm looking at the top 8 playoffs, and this is one of the craziest top 8s I've seen in a long, like this top 8 is fucking stacked. So you got Jesse Cotton versus Victor Lamb, Raymond Dye versus Luke Parks, Dominic Couch versus Chansey Wigglestove, Christian Arena versus Pac. So this is literally one of the most stacked top 8s I've seen in Modern.
Have you seen top 4?
Top 4, let me see. So let me back on this page. I think top 4 features. So you got Raymond versus Christian Arena. And then obviously I know Jesse Cotton was also in there as well. And I'm guessing, were you also part of the top 4?
Yeah, it was me.
Yep. So this top 4 is even more crazy. It's like everybody who was supposed to win top 8 won top 8.
Supposed to win is so great.
Isn't that crazy? You guys are like broken as hell though. Like this is okay. I finally clicked on it. So yeah, Dom versus Jesse, Christian versus Raymond. This was anyone's YCS, and it's just crazy to me that there's 3 tier elements, and then there's the Exo Sister deck, and that's the one that ended up beating it. But I guess that deck has a really good matchup against tier elements or something.
Yeah, the craziest part is like me, Jesse, and Gunther all played different versions of the tier element deck.
Yes, because I see Jesse played tier elements Danger Sprite. You play tier elements Sprite Danger Punk, and then Christian Arenas just says tier elements. I don't know if he had anything else.
He played like 15 hand traps and like Dynamiscus. Like
the trap card banishes.
What I like to call it was like average deck for like an average man or something.
Crazy. Oh yeah,
like,
I saw that. Yeah,
average deck is so funny.
Yeah, no, this is great though. The fact that all you guys had different ideas. So I'm assuming that the 3 of you didn't really coordinate too much on your decks together.
I know that I did not work with any of them. Well, I don't know if they work with each other because I know that they're teammates.
Yeah, because their decks are so different, and that's why I assume that they just kind of like. It's cool that you can take the same base deck and then just be like, okay, well, this is how I want to play it, and you guys all had success. What happened between you and Jesse in top 4?
I rolled Snake Eyes for the second time against Jesse in top 4 or better.
Wow. So you lost that roll.
That's crazy. I couldn't believe I rolled Snake Eyes. I was so upset. But man, because there's something about like losing the die roll, and then there's something about like, man, I'm in top 4, Snake Eyes, awesome.
Yeah, the worst thing you could possibly roll. And I know immediately, you probably thought to yourself, "Here we go again."
Yeah, literally. I lost to Jesse in the finals at Knoxville, and I also rolled Snake Eyes there. So I'm like, "Here we go again."
Damn,
this is great.
So and Jesse stopped you from winning a YCS before.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So he's been like a thorn in your side.
Yeah, it's so. Me and Jesse have played so much, and like I have never lost to Jesse in Swiss at a YCS.
It's only a top cut.
I have a really, really good record against Jesse in Swiss at YCSs and UDSs, and every time we play top cut, Jesse beats me, and he beats me so deep is what hurts. It's like, oh my. That's my rival.
Yeah, I think you were telling me this on Facebook Messenger, but just to elaborate for the people listening, you were saying that the tier elements mirror match is not the best, right? Like it is.
Oh no! It's like not great at all. Like Abyss Dweller is ridiculous, especially the versions that me and Jesse played. Like whoever wins the die roll is gonna win game 1. Like it's like unbreakable for both decks.
Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, that's definitely bad.
Outside of like some crazy combination of cards, like he played Nibiru, so like if he Nibiru's me and my hand sucks, or like he draws like Nibiru Super Poly and the board that I put up through Nibiru is super polyable, right? Like, or I have to draw like Super Poly like Forbidden Droplet or something ridiculous, right? It's just like
you have to sack the person basically is what you're saying.
You have to like sack them so hard to win going second, and then or like Havnus milling ridiculous on their turn, something along those lines. Yeah. But you literally have to sack them, and then game 2 I like go first, and I cannot like do my full combo. Like I didn't brick because I could still play cards.
Yeah,
but like for the purpose of like I'm playing the combo deck, I bricked. Like I like normal summon blue and then like special Destrudo, and then what made it even worse is like my bad board Jesse made even worse because he cherried my elf.
Oh,
and
no.
like making elf was like the only line of play I even had.
Yeah, and he just took that away from you too.
Because I didn't open well. So yeah, and then Jesse just like double super polyed me and killed me. It was great.
It was great.
I got 2-0'd nicely.
Would you change anything about that deck that you just topped with?
If I could go back, I wouldn't play Super Poly again. I think that card was like good against like Sprite sometimes, and you can do like really cool things with it in the tier element deck, but like that card was really, really bad in the mirror, and the mirror was really the only deck I was afraid of. So
right,
I might not play that card again. But then again, like it's so rough because like people in Swiss, and this isn't to say like everybody sucks or anything like that, but like people in Swiss do not play around that card. Versus once you get to like top cut, right?
right.
Like
So it's good in Swiss.
Or Jesse does, and the card gets a lot worse in top cut because like you play against like me or Jesse or whoever else, like their board is going to be like probably not super polyable. But like you play in Swiss, you draw super poly, you lose the roll, and you're like, oh my god, this card's a god card.
Yes,
because they just like people would just leave like Abyss Dweller and Mud Dragon up, and you're like, wow, I can really super poly that Abyss Dweller. That's crazy.
Yeah, like that's not supposed to ever happen.
So it's like,
yeah, I know what you mean. That's an interesting dynamic there. Is like the card is good in Swiss and terrible in top cut.
Yeah.
And at that point, you just got to be like, I hope that I can get through Swiss with decisions in my deck that'll be more beneficial in top cut, because that's where it's like it really matters. Like topping.
That's an interesting point. And there's playing to win and playing to top, right?
Right.
Exactly. Some people all they care, they just want to get to the top, or get a top, and so maybe they'll be like, oh, this card carries me through, I get a top. But if you have the mindset of playing to win, you're willing to sacrifice a top because a top doesn't matter. It's like I want to win the event.
Like these guys, at this level,
it's like exactly how I feel. Like, dude, I don't care about like obviously like for my own ego and whatever, right? Like it obviously feels better to top 32 and lose than like everybody always says, oh, I'd rather lose than not top 32. But like, nah, when you don't top it, like definitely is a shot to the chest, right?
Yes.
For sure.
So like, well, I always say like, oh, I'd rather lose like round 9 or whatever than like losing top 32. Like that's not true. I'd rather top, obviously.
Yeah,
but,
I don't know what the fuck people are saying, but I would rather top every time.
Definitely.
Personally,
but you wouldn't sacrifice your deck just the top. Like, oh, I know this will beat all the scrubs.
Yeah,
so I'll do this just the top. Like it won't work in top.
Go, like back and forth, right? Like if every like 3 events, for example, right? If I could not top 2 events to guarantee like I top 4 a better one event, like I would do that every time. Because like I really only want to win again, like over and over and over and over again. I don't care about top 32ing over and over and over again. It's like it's not special to me. Like winning is special.
Right. At the level that that's what I was saying. At the level that you guys are at, like topping doesn't really mean anything. But like if the conversation is, would I not top 32, or like people say like, oh, I'd rather not even top at all than get top 32 and lose. Like I think that's just crazy. Like I'll pass on that. Like I'd rather, because when you fly to a place and like you book hotel and you do all that traveling and shit like that, and then you play like 10 or 11 rounds and then you lose on a bubble and then you don't top, that shit is heartbreaking. Like it is not a good feeling to scrub out. Like, and obviously I've scrubbed out tons of times because I played for a while, and like everyone who's ever played has scrubbed out tons of times, no matter how good they are. And it doesn't feel good. Like it's like still one of those things that you wish, like, God damn it, like that guy got so lucky, or like I just drew so bad, my deck just wouldn't comply, I had so many outs. You know how it is. But at this point you guys just want to win. And that makes perfect sense, because when you have 22 tops, it's like, okay, like clearly people know that I can top events. I'm not proving that point anymore. I'm just trying to prove how many times can I get to the gold. And getting to the gold is very, 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 very fucking hard. Like actually getting to the goal is very hard.
Like, you get to a point where like you don't need to establish a legacy anymore or like create one, but you need to add on to it.
Yes. And that's kind of this phase that you guys are in. Like Jesse would have had his third win if it wasn't for
Jesse already has 3 wins.
Does he?
Yeah.
What 3 does he have? I thought he won 2 YCS.
He won a YCS London was his first win. And then he beat me in the finals at Knoxville. And then Jesse won the UDS belt in Panama.
Oh, see, I forgot about that. He had a belt. I don't know if I ever knew that. Yeah, I don't know if I ever knew that he got a in Panama. They had a UDS in Panama.
Yeah, they only had him in America and South America and like Mexico. So,
all right. Well, congrats to Jesse for having a UDS belt from Panama. Aren't they getting rid of the UDS belt thing soon? Like, isn't that being done away with?
No. So they were supposed to end it, like, to my understanding, like, before COVID, they had set up this big tournament, right? Okay. Where they were going to have every person that won a belt, like, play in this, like, tournament, like the Ultimate Duelist Championship or whatever, right. And then everybody would play against each other, and only the winner of that one, only the winner of all the UDS champions would be the one that got to keep the perks.
Okay.
Which I think is fine. Right?
Yeah, whatever.
Sure. But I do think it's kind of ridiculous that like, you know, like 16 duelists, or I don't know how many UDS champions there are.
Yeah, I have no idea how many there are at this point.
That, like, I think it's crazy that like somewhere between like 10 duelists and like 16, somewhere in there, like they all get 2 buys every single tournament.
Yes, it makes it a lot easier to do well when you get 2 buys to every event. It is the most ridiculous prize in Yu-Gi-Oh's history. Like, that is the craziest prize you could ever win, is getting one of those belts.
It also just makes, because so many people with buys enter the tournament, it throws off the number system, and like a lot of X2s just don't top.
Yes, I saw that.
Because so many people with buys, like Bowden, I played Bowden round 7 at Niagara.
Does he have a belt?
And we were no. Oh, but me and Bowden played against each other round 7, and we're both X1 at Niagara.
Yeah.
And I beat Bowden round 7. That's like deep in the tournament,
that's pretty damn deep.
That's like deep. And then he wins out, right? Like Bowden finishes X2 and is like 36th place. Doesn't top. And he was X1 until round 7.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like he lost like the first 2 rounds. And then like it goes vice versa with the belt also, because the belts, like the buys, are perfect breakers.
That's what I was wondering. So instead of it being like neutral or bad, it's actually just a good thing to have those buys.
Yeah, it's like your round 1 and 2 opponent, who are normally terrible, right?
Yes.
Like whoever you play round 1 or 2 of the tournament is normally not good. The UDS buys count them as you played against 2 undefeateds in Swiss.
Wow, that's actually nuts. So it's so powerful.
Yeah, so like if you have a belt, you can just lose like round 3 and 4 and be locked, which I think is insane.
Yeah, that's absurd. Somebody was saying that when the events are pretty small too. I think I was listening to Jake Quincy's podcast. Shout out to Jake Quincy. We're gonna have him on soon too. He the TCG Experience. I think he was talking about specifically Jesse Cotton. Like, for example, he gets 2 buys, and if he loses 2 rounds, and then a tournament's only like 8 or 9 rounds, it's like, okay. Yeah, he goes like 4-1 or 5-1 or some shit. And it's just like, yeah, like you top. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, like I think Rio was 9 rounds, I think, of Swiss Rio, and Jesse had 2 buys in Rio, so Jesse has to go like 5-2 in Swiss.
That's what it was. Yeah, that's what they were talking about. They were talking about how absurd it was.
I think that's nuts. That's a cheat code.
Yeah,
that is one of the most absurd perks. I don't know of any other game off the top of my head that has a perk. That is such a crazy.
Magic has a crazy perk.
There's like other games. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say real quick, Magic has a crazy perk where if you finish, the higher you finish in Swiss, you get to choose who goes first in your match in Top Cut.
Oh, like an ARG?
Yes, that's where ARG got that idea from. So basically, Kenny, if I finish like 3rd in Swiss and I have to play, third plays like 30th, and if I play you, we don't die roll in top cut. Like I just get to go first, which means the only time I'll ever go second is if I play against eventually the guy who got first in Swiss or second in Swiss. So the guy who gets first in Swiss can just steamroll the tournament if it's a go first format. Like he can just absolutely destroy everybody. So I'm just going first. So that's a benefit of like in Magic, and it was in ARGs for a while. And I got to play in that era of ARGs to see what it was like. And I actually, interestingly enough, I did finish first in Swiss at one of the ARGs. And a really unfortunate thing happened that made, like, I would have won the ARG 100%. But, like, the most obnoxious and unreal thing happened to me that weekend that just, like, fucked everything up. And normally people don't get to go, like, you don't get to go undefeated or go first in Swiss often. Like that's very hard to do in itself just because Yu-Gi-Oh is a game of variance, but to also be rewarded for it is, yeah, it's really nice. I actually really like it, but I think for Yu-Gi-Oh it doesn't quite work. Like Yu-Gi-Oh is such a volatile and ignorant game. It has no resource.
That sounds toxic as hell.
Yeah, it has no resource. It has no resource system, which is so bad. But like, I do like the idea that, yeah, I went fucking 10-0. I hate it when the 10-0 person just loses round one of top cut. Like that shit is AIDS. Like that is just the worst thing that could happen. It's like, yeah, you went 10-0 and you beat all these people. Then you get the top 32 and you get unlucky. Like you finally got unlucky. Like something you just do like unplayable. Your opponent just God handed you. And it's like, well, shit, like that really sucks. Like
I went undefeated in Swiss at an ARG with a go second deck.
Oh, okay. So then you got to be like for the rest of.
Yeah, I was like, man, I wish I was playing like a combo deck and I could just start every,
Yes, because it doesn't really do anything that you're going to make them go first because they want to go first anyway.
Yeah, so I would like pick up their deck list, because it's ARG, you get to look at deck list. Right.
That was the thing too. You got
look
to
at
see
their deck. And I'm like, you can start, and I know that I'm like might get Goki comboed. Yep. I'm like, awesome.
Yeah, that's not a good feeling. If you did that and you had to go first deck, you're like, sweet. Now every round I get to guarantee go first, which is so big in Yu-Gi-Oh still. Apparently, because if you got to go first in that tier elements mirror, like, so was your hand good against Jesse in top 4 in Niagara?
Oh yeah, like if I win the roll, I would have won game 1.
100%.
Yeah, because he had Nibiru, but I could have played through Nibiru because I opened teleport, so it didn't matter.
Yeah, well, there you have it. I mean, that's just the die roll, man. Sometimes you look at your hand, and you're like, if I went first, this guy was fucking cooked.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's off. Yeah, like Jesse's a good friend of mine. That guy's literally awesome. So
yeah, it happens. I've been there plenty of times. I'm sure you've been. You look at your hand sometimes, you go second, you're like, man, this hand was crazy. You know what I hate? I hate drawing a god hand against a bad player. That shit is so annoying to me.
Like, I feel like it's a waste.
I feel like it's a waste. I just look at my hand, I'm like, yo, this hand is crazy. And it's like, this guy doesn't even know what he's doing. Like you said, he left up a Dweller and a Mud Dragon. It's like, yeah, I didn't need to draw a god against this. Like, I could have, you know what I mean? Like, it's just so annoying. And then you play against somebody ridiculously good, and then your deck starts drawing real weird. It's like, what is happening?
It's all right. Like it balances out. I got like fairly lucky throughout the tournament. Like I lost the roll to Bowden, so I lose game 1. Bowden's playing like a similar deck, and then he's also playing the tier mirror. And then I drew game 3. I opened like Gamma and Nibiru, and I'm like, awesome. I have a chance.
Yeah.
So yeah,
you got to be lucky to win. I always say that.
And I won the die roll, and it's weird because I feel like I might have traded. See, it is an interesting concept. Do you think? I have a question for you. Do you think if you top 32 tournament, right? Would you trade losing the die roll in top 32, top 16, and top 8 to win it in top 4 in the finals?
Yes.
Yeah, I would too.
Yes.
But I won the die roll in top 32, top 16, and top 8. But then I rolled Snake Eyes in top 4. So
yeah. Yeah, I would definitely trade. Because, I mean, theoretically, your easier opponents are probably happening in top 32, top 16, top 8. And the harder opponent is probably going to be later in the tournament. Which, for this specific tournament, because the top 8 is so stacked, the die roll becomes so much more important the further you guys went into this. Like, I don't know the full list of top 32 people who topped this one, but, like, just seeing the top 8 players' names, I'm like, okay, yeah, whoever was winning the die rolls here definitely had the upper hand, especially because top 8 was what, 6 tier elements, 1 Exo Sister, and 1 something else, 1 Sprite maybe.
Right.
Yeah, so like all of those tier elements decks, and you said the mirror match is not that good, which means you definitely need the die roll at that point. What did you play in like top 32, top 16 in this tournament? Like what?
I played 3 Sprite and then I played Jesse. So
so you went through a bunch of Sprite.
Top 32 was like broken. Like you said, you didn't look at it. Top 32, I didn't play anybody bad. Like
I was gonna say, like, who did you?
Opponent was Jake Quincy.
Oh shit! Okay.
I played Jake Quincy in top 32, and then I played Mitchell Martin in top 16.
Okay.
And then I played Chansey, and then I played Jesse.
What happened? I saw Chansey. He posted something when he lost. I forget what happened.
Oh yeah. So, oh man, this play was crazy. I was so proud of this one. I was like walking around the Top Cut arena like an idiot, pretending to breathe fire. So there's like there's like a dumb dragon on my Top Cut or my Top Choice Gaming jersey, and I was the only representative for my team in that Top Cut, right? So I do this crazy play against Chansey that I'll tell you, and then like afterwards, like I'm explaining my play, and then I just like put my hands up like this, point at the dragon on my chest, and I'm like, I looked so stupid, but it was so fun.
I love that because I love dragons. Like I'm a big like House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones, and all that shit has made me just love dragons. So to me, as funny and weird as that does look, like I'm a guy who like watches anime, like loves all that kind of weird shit anyway. So I get off to that. Like I love all of that shit.
It was. I entertained myself and nobody else.
Which is I'm about to say that's what matters anyway. Like the fact that you had fun with it, like Oh, so what was the play? Let's hear it.
So I win game 1, but he goes first, game 2, and I hotness on his turn, and he dimension shifters.
Okay. Broken card.
And
what's he playing?
He's playing Sprite.
Okay, Sprite with dimension shifter. Gotcha.
Yeah, he sided it in against me because that card's like game against my deck.
Yes.
But he ends on Sprite Red, Sprite Carrot, Gigantic, and Totally Awesome. And then on my turn, the Toad summons Dupe Frog so that I can't attack the Sprite Red and turn off his negate.
Yep.
And I go normal Meryl, no effect, special Sprite Blue, and then he has to negate it, so he negates Sprite Blue with his red. And then my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card, Destrudo, I activate Destrudo in my hand and target my Havness, which is a level 3, so my Destrudo is a level 4.
Right.
And then I use the Meryl and the Havness to summon the Dark Charmer, and the Dark Charmer summon his Dimension Shifter. And then Dimension Shifter's a 6 and Destrudo's a 4, so then I made Baron under Dimension Shifter.
Oh no, not like this.
And I cleared all his cards.
Not like this.
Yeah, that play was so gross. It was so good. I liked that one.
Yeah, the fact that you saw that line and just put it in.
I thought I was gonna win the tournament after I did that one, not gonna lie. I was like, you know how you do the play and then you're like,
yeah, I know exactly what
you're like the best person in the room. You're like, there's no way I can lose. Did you see what I just did?
Yeah, do you guys see what the fuck I just did?
Did you guys see that shit? Like,
it definitely be like that. So, okay, you played Jake. Jake was playing. He wasn't playing Runic Sprite at the time. He was just playing regular Sprite.
He was playing Runic Sprite.
Oh, he was playing Runic Sprite. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you have like a easy. Do you play Eradicator or any of that stuff in your deck?
Oh yeah, I main decked it.
Okay.
So like I won the roll against Jake, full combo through a hand trap, and then like Eradicated him, and the game was over. And then I lose game 2 on like a 50-50. And then I go first game 3, play through 2 hand traps and full combo him again, and the game's over. And then it's like very similar in top 16. I win the die roll, get double hand trapped, full combo, and Mitch like, and And then game 2, if he does not have, I anti-magic arrowed him for 4 cards. And so he has to have, like, I baited the Toad with my normal summon of Fairy Tale Snow to book it.
She is so ridiculous.
Yeah, and it I'm activating Sharon to pitch another tier element, and like I'm gonna like blow him out. And then Mitch has Ash Blossom to negate the Sharon, and I'm like, rats.
Yeah.
And so I lose game 2, but if he doesn't have Ash, I win that game. And then game 3, he double hand traps me again, and full combo, game's over.
So he double hand traps you, but you play through it.
Yeah.
So this is something. Like, go ahead.
So crazy. And then it wasn't full combo game 3 actually, but it was like enough, like well over enough.
Yeah, because if they double hand trap you and you still make a board, it's like okay.
Yeah, like you have 4 cards. So
I assume that hand traps are just not that good against the tier limits deck, unless it's like obviously D-Shifter doesn't count because that card's ridiculous.
So it sucks because the conundrum is like, so this is why you complain about the people that are like, ooh, Mystic Mine is okay now, right? Like obviously it's not.
Yeah.
But like cards like Mystic Mine against this Eradicator version or Dark Ruler No More, etc., like the blanket cards, don't work because of Eradicator. So the only way to really beat the board when they go first is to hand trap them. But the hand traps right now are not that good.
Right.
So you have to draw like 2 or 3 to prevent it, which is like a huge problem. But
yeah, so like, Christian decided to go the route of playing like a bunch of hand traps.
Yeah, he played like 15 or 18, like something ridiculous.
He's topped with that a couple times this year because I remember at Hartford, I think it was. Yeah. It might have been Hartford. He topped with like a 15, 18 hand trap deck.
Yeah, I mean hand traps are great cards, like in theory, and something that like Christian Urena is obviously a fantastic player, so he knows like where to interact where like a lot of people don't. So like if Christian Urena has like one hand trap, right? Like he could sit there and like he'll let a lot more stuff go than like a regular person would, because he knows that like only that card's the problem. That's the card I'm going to try to prevent. Like you have like DD Crow and they like mill a snow or something, and you can't beat Fairy Tale Snow. Like you just crow the snow immediately. They don't have enough cards to chain it, right?
Right.
Where like a lot of people will try to use the DD Crow to like stop you from playing rather than like deal with the actual problem.
Yes, yeah, that's really smart when you put it that way. But your deck, how many hand traps or like interruption type cards did you play in your main?
In my main deck, I played 3 Super Poly and 2 Forbidden Droplet. I only played 5 in my main deck.
So you didn't play hand traps at all?
No, not in my main deck.
And I was wondering if that's what's kind of happened, where the Tier Elements deck can just play through so much shit. If you just have like a lot of engine, like you just want engine, right? Like you just want, I can push through like an Ash, I can push through a Crow, Gamma, whatever the hell people like in Perm and all that, Valor, like whatever people are playing, you can just push through it because the deck is just that resilient to hand traps. And it makes hand traps a bit worse. But on the other hand, it's like you said, multiple hand traps can help to like stop the boards from getting out of hand, and then you can use your hand against it and all that. I like when Yugioh has a decision between should I be playing hand traps right now or should I not?
Yeah, I hate when I'm like forced to play them.
Yes,
whenever. Well, I said that like you have to like hand trap the tier deck to try to beat it, right? Like the majority of the time, against like somebody playing perfectly, you like need hand traps to beat that deck because they're probably playing Eradicator. You don't actually have to main deck them because like I'm okay with like, if tier is not the most popular deck, because like Sprite is the most popular deck, I'm okay like losing the game 1 after already losing the die roll, right?
Yeah.
Because you have to main deck so many defensive cards to even try to win like this blind game 1 that you lose the roll. You have to play something like Gunther's deck, where you're playing like 15, 18 hand traps to try to draw 2 or 3 and still have enough to beat the other decks as well. and diversify your interactions, because you can't just put in like 18 cards that are good against the tier on the deck, because then you'll start losing to the most popular deck. Even if like the most popular deck is not the best deck,
right?
Which becomes like,
and that happens.
Crazy conundrum.
I do like that idea, often. And that the game is like so much of a go first game that you're like, if I already lost the die roll, then I don't want to make my deck worse on game one. Like I already lost the die roll, so if I lose game one, I lost the die roll, whatever. Now I have my side deck to deal with whatever.
Yeah, like there's a little bit of luck involved, like at least a little bit of luck involved, no matter when anybody wins a tournament, right? Like it's very rare that somebody like enters a tournament and like they were always going to win that tournament from like deck list alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not like it used to be like in, back in the day from what I've researched and watched or whatever, where like if somebody has the best deck, like it seems like they win the majority of the time, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot more. There's not a lot more variance now, but there's more variance now. But I also think that that's because like the quality of cards has increased, which means that like by default the quality of cards and like the amount of information that is given out like through YouTube and all that stuff now, the average player is also better than they used to be.
Information sharing has made every competitive game, I think, harder in some ways, because everybody, all the scrubs, in quotes, are able to get better so much quicker or in such a shorter amount of time than they used to. So all of a sudden, people that are kind of no names, but they're just fucking YouTube grinders, can like give you problems or know how to do plays, and you're like, how the fuck? Like, how is this guy pushing me? Like, why am I being pushed right now?
Yeah, and you're just like, damn, that guy like wanted to do well and like researched YouTube and stuff like that a bunch.
Played a lot of dueling book.
One of these, whether it's my Metafy or Gunther's Metafy or Jesse's Metafy or whoever's Metafy, right? Like these pro players that like, have got the cheat codes down and like know what they're doing. Like people can just pay for that now. Like, hey, teach me how to be better. And like people like me or Christian Urena or Jesse like will just do that.
So that is awesome. It's awesome how many resources players have now to become better. Like I don't know what the hell you had to do back in my day, but like now you can literally pay for the best people. Like imagine being able to pay for fucking Billy Brigg, Jeff Jones, Patrick Hoban to like 101 teach you how to become better. That's what's available now on Metafy with Dominic Couch, Jesse Cotton, Christian Urena, and those guys. Like you can literally, invest in yourself.
Or you just had to be like either an ultimate grinder or one of their friends.
Yep. That always helps. Being close to the center, being the center where the fire is at, always helps. It's nice to know. It's nice to be in a group where like people come up with good ideas and like people are always dueling and deck building. And I know that nowadays a lot of the top players, they get on like huge Discord calls and just play on dueling book, and it's like 8v1 on some random guy on dueling book that doesn't even know that like he's playing against literally 8 of the best players in the world. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I used to do that a lot. I don't play like anywhere near as much as when I was younger. Like man, younger Dom, that guy lived on dueling book. Like I just don't have time to do that anymore. But like I also think it is not healthy to play as much as
definitely
I used to.
Not. It's definitely not. But even resources like DB Grinder and shit. More. Yeah, I think that at your age and at your level of maturity now, that's what matters more anyway, is the theory. Like this card is not good and everyone plays it. Why do people think this card is good? And like when people realize that, like when the good players realize stuff like that, that separates you so much from the rest of the room. It's like a lot of people think like certain things are staples or certain things you just have to play this. And it's like, actually this card's kind of shit. If you really think about it, you only want it here. And it's bad in every other situation, or it's bad against good players, which is even worse to me. That all matters. What are your thoughts about so I know people are like really pissed that there's still no ban list. And as far as I know, while we're recording this podcast, there still is not a new ban list. I haven't seen my phone light up or anybody text me or say anything, so I still doesn't appear to be out. But I was gonna ask, like, what do you think needs to happen on the ban list to I guess make the game
got some strong opinions on this.
I love strong opinions, bro. Give me some strong opinions on how you feel.
I think any card that summons from my deck should be banned.
So teleport needs to go immediately.
Teleport, Helga Fibrax, Isolde,
right. So all of those crazy combos,
all those cards gone. And then I think that Chaos Ruler needs to go away. That card's not cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that card mills 5 and it's 2 bodies and adds a card to my hand. Not okay.
Yeah, that card is crazy.
Anything that's that accessible has got to go.
Yeah.
I think that it will not be banned because it just came out. That Sprite Elf card has got to go at some point also. That card is already just so. It might be the best card in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Damn, Sprite Elf.
Yeah, it's so generic and the fact. I mean, you know this. Making it didn't need to make anything untargetable. Making monsters at points 2 untargetable.
Yeah,
is not okay.
So it's funny you say that. I was just watching regionals in Philly. Was this past weekend?
Yeah.
And the guy who got first, Nick Ma, was playing against the guy that got second, Jerome Porter. And they were playing at table 1. It was round 7. I was standing there. I watched the whole match. So Nick Ma was playing Runic, Sprite, and then Jay was playing Tearlaments. And they had a really, really, really long game 1, extremely long. And they both comboed off forever. They both spent 10 plus minutes on their turns, whatever. And it was really grinding. And I was really impressed by the Tearlaments deck because he was getting fucked on a lot by the cards that Nick would draw off of the Runic field spell. And then he would draw DD Crow and something else, exactly what he needed. But the Tearlaments deck was just so resilient and was doing all this crazy stuff. But then he had Zero Boros on the field. So we had to play around Zero Boros. And it was a lot. It was a really intense game. It was very back and forth. But it got to a point where the Tearlaments deck had to summon Fairy Tale Snow. And he went to summon Snow and target a monster that Elf was pointing to. And Nick was yeah, you can't target this. And then as soon as he said that, he scooped. After they had been playing for 30 minutes. This game went on for 30 minutes. And he scooped when he summoned back Snow and was target that. And he was oh, you actually can't target this because of Elf. So Elf is crazy. And sometimes people forget. Because what happened, the Totally Awesome just kept coming back throughout the course of the game. You know how it is. That fucking card, if you don't get rid of it, they just bring it back a million times. I think that he brought it back 4 too many times. And when he went to target it with Snow to try to make a play or whatever, he's yeah, you actually can't target it. And he was yeah, that's game. But then they ended up drawing at the end of it all, and then they got first and second. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I didn't realize that the Elf was that absurd that you feel it's literally top 2 and it might not be 2.
Yeah, I think that, and the next cards I think should be banned are I don't like extra deck monsters that send cards from any card from my deck to the graveyard. I don't like those cards.
So Curious.
No Curious, Beatrice, those gotta go. Fairy Tale Snow I love that card, but that card should not have come back. That card belongs banned.
Yes, that card is crazy.
I've watched so many Tier Element games be decided by your opponent is naturally resolving a Kit Callus and then a Snow plops in the graveyard. Now the game's over.
Yep.
And then so I do think that Mystic Mind should be banned.
Yes.
But because I am not a fan of cards that limit deck building. I don't like that they can't print better field spell cards because Mystic Mind is so broken. I don't like that people are required to build their decks differently just because of the existence of that card. I think that's not cool.
Yeah, you're saying there's not a good support. They can't print better support for field spells because Mystic Mind exists.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree
anything
with
that. Anything that limits deck build, anything that limits new cards or limits somebody's ability to deck build. I don't like those cards, but I do think that a card similar to Mystic Mind is a necessary evil because the game is so broken when you go first that we need better going second cards.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I think that it's funny when people complain about Mind. Yes, Mind is definitely toxic as fuck, but it's also toxic to go first and set up 4 negates and tell your opponent to go and act like they can play through it. It's like,
yeah,
like that. You're also an asshole. Like you're not some fucking Mr. Morale over here, like Mr. Morals. Like you set up all these negates and you're like, yeah, pass, and then your opponent Mystic Minds you and you lose and you huff and puff and complain as you duck out. Like you are not trying to let me play either. I always think that shit is so funny. So it's just like, yeah, they did it with less steps. You took 10 minutes to create that board. They played Mystic Mind and then you lost. So, but as far as the balance goes, yeah, I think I agree with every one of your takes that like cards that send things from the deck, cards that summon from the deck are very, very broken in today's Yu-Gi-Oh.
So broken.
Yeah, like when Silverman was showing me what one teleport does, he was like, look at what one teleport gets you. And it just like was full, this crazy ass full combo. Like that Chaos Ruler dude came out and like the punk cards are crazy. Like you could just do so much off of just one teleport or one starter.
I think if somebody has to like normal summon the Zayaman to do the punk stuff, it's not actually that broken. Sure.
Yeah.
But like when somebody gets to just like, dude, like Hartford, when people would just go like Rite of Armaseer, is like I played Rite of Armaseer and teleport in my deck at Hartford. You go like Rite of Armaseer, token, Griffin negate, and then you're like teleport for Zayaman, do everything. Yes. You're like, dude, they can't even interact with it. Like,
yeah.
So
and like, how prevents Konami from ever printing good tuners again?
Yeah, like that's a card that not only is just like broken, but like so many cards have paid for that card's sins.
Yes.
As well as like
I hate when they do that.
They can't print cards. They can't.
I hate when the rest of the game gets ruined because just like that's the problem. Get rid of that one.
Yeah.
Why does everything else get banned and ruined around it? Like that's the guy. It's him. He has the gun, sir. He has the gun. Get rid of him.
Yeah, they'll ban Glow Bulb and like everything else, right? But then the actual issue
was banned for a while.
Yeah.
Not one.
Alki Fibrax is fucked up, and I know that just from Master Duel. And I haven't played Master Duel in a while, but that card's fucked up.
Yeah, this Blackwing Steam the Cloak is banned. I want that one to sink in.
Like, what does it do? I don't even know what it does.
It is a level 3 tuner with 800 attack that when it is sent to the graveyard, like from the field or whatever, summons a token. And Blackwing Steams the Cloak effect is when it's in the graveyard, you can once per duel, I think. It might be once per turn. I think it's once per duel.
It's probably once per duel, yeah.
Because that's what Zephyros is, right? Once per duel, so it's probably the same thing.
Yeah.
But
so it's Global,
like once per duel, tribute one monster you control, and you can bring it back. What the combo was you go like normal Blackwing Steam the Cloak, and this card was just so ignorant by itself. You'd go like Almirage, summon a token, bring back Blackwing Steam the Cloak, Halka Fibrax, and then you chain block it with the Steam the Cloak because it was going to summon another token, and then you have like 4 monsters already.
With just summoning this little Blackwing.
With just summoning the little bird, and I'm like, dude.
Yeah, that is pretty stupid. And this is all because Hulk exists. Is like, yeah, every tuner you print, you have to be careful because it could just break the game. Yeah, I hate that. I hate seeing cards pay the price for other cards. That's always really, really frustrating in Yu-Gi-Oh! The ban list, a lot of those cards can come off because if you ban the right things, you don't need so many of them on there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, is there anything else? Oh, you did mention, I want to talk about this. IMNerd Podcast After Dark now. So you did talk about Dom recently made a Twitter. So go follow him on Twitter. What's your Twitter handle?
Oh my God, I should know this. I think it's Dom_Couch, I think.
All right, well, follow Dom. You'll find him. If you guys want to find him, you'll find him. But I was telling Dom before this podcast that I have a Twitter as well. But my Twitter, I can't open it in public because it's disgusting. My Twitter is just straight up gross. Like it is.
I want to add on to that. I shouldn't open mine in public.
Yeah, I should not.
I don't care. Sometimes I'll be at work and it'll be slow and I'll be like, what's on Twitter? I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. It's just titties and ass. That's on Twitter. I forgot.
Twitter is a wild place. And Dom just made one. I was telling him, I was like, listen, when you're on Twitter, just be careful because if you click on the wrong thing and next thing you know, you'll just see titties, dick, and ass everywhere. It's no joke.
Everywhere, bro.
Yeah, and Twitter does not ban anything.
Funny because Frazier is like the 5th person that has told me that this week, and that is like, I never even knew that it was like bad like that.
That's the thing. I don't think people know. I think that a lot of people thought that Twitter was just like a different social media platform that people like. I mean,
it's that as well.
Yes,
it's also that, but it's also one of the biggest porn sites in the world.
It might be. I think it honestly is because they don't do anything about it. I still wonder how these people get away with just posting nudes all the time. Like all the OnlyFans girls and stuff like that, they're all on there. They're promoting their OnlyFans. It's like Twitter's where you go to get a preview of people's OnlyFans.
It's so interesting when you think about it, because I don't actually know. I think the guidelines for Twitter, I think you got to be like 13 to make a Twitter or something. I don't know what the exact thing is. I don't think it's 8, but I don't think it's 18 though. Is my point.
Yeah.
And so, but I also know that porn is not against the terms of service of Twitter. I think you just have to clarify that you have a mature account or whatever. Yeah. But it's interesting. Twitter is a household name. You can talk about Twitter anywhere, and everybody thinks it's normal. Everybody has a Twitter, but it's also the biggest porn site in the world, and that's just fucking crazy.
Yep, randomly. And I've discovered it randomly. I was just on Twitter. I forget what I was looking for because Twitter just has everything. And I was looking for something, and then next thing I know, I was like, "Whoa, this is like Tumblr." Like I don't know if people remember the Tumblr days, but Tumblr was a wild one, and it was supposed to be for arts, like people who are a little artsy fartsy or whatever. All I ever saw on Tumblr was fucking porn, and I was just like, "What is this?" And I never even made a real Tumblr after that. I was like, "All right, well, this is done." And now Twitter is the same exact thing. It's like this is just crazy. But luckily for you guys, Dom will actually be using his Twitter, for Yu-Gi-Oh purposes, right? Like his is going to be for Yu-Gi-Oh, and then he'll make a fake one that you guys will know about, and that'll be for all the other festivities.
That's the meta. That's what you got to do.
Yeah,
I've got more than one Twitter. Got more than one Reddit. You know, because Reddit's the other one.
Reddit is crazy.
Reddit's insane.
All right, so Dom, we're going to start to wrap this one up. Thank you so much for stopping by the podcast, though, bro. I really appreciate it. You are one of the best players in the game and dominating for the last several years. So it's really just happy to have people like you come on here and just let us know what's going on in your mind, like what you think about Yu-Gi-Oh and like how you've been successful and stuff like that. I think it really helps the player base and also just to get to know you better, like the things you go through, like you talked about your depression and how you've been like you've learned ways to deal with that, and then also your weight loss journey, and it's a lot of positive things that I'm really happy to hear. Like, and no one's perfect, of course, but like just happy to hear that you're making a lot of positive changes in your life. Like everyone has stumbled, everyone has had times in their life like really dark times, but you just gotta persevere, push through. One day at a time. That helps me so much. Like if I could offer any advice to people listening, it's just I try to take things one day at a time, and then even within those days, I say one thing at a time. So whenever I have a lot to do and I get overwhelmed, which happens quite often, because I just do that to myself. Whenever I have a lot going on, I just say, okay, you can only do one thing at a time anyway. So just do one thing at a time. It makes it so much easier if you just start to work on like, I'm just going to do this first. I'm not going to focus on anything else. I can only do this right now and then move on to the next task. Next thing you know, you'll get through like your workload. That really helps me. But yeah, try to take things one day at a time, people, and then it'll help mentally. I think anyways.
Where we go. I wanted to sneak in there. Earlier, real brief, real quick, when we were talking about anime, Dom, you mentioned that you watch anime as well. So before we sneak out of here, I need to know either A, I'm not going to ask what your favorite is because that's an overdone question, but what are just anime that you enjoy, or what are you watching right now? Is there anything you're watching right now or anything you're going through at the moment?
Yeah, so I'm really excited for the new season of My Hero.
Oh, me too.
Yes. Hell yeah.
Like, I cannot wait to watch that. Bakugo is literally my Twitter picture.
My God. Yes.
I love My Hero. But Naruto, I was watching Naruto, like all of Naruto, like while I was starting my weight loss journey, and like, dude, Naruto is great. Like I love that. Like I have like, the like Starbucks anime, you know what I mean? Like that's the classic.
Yeah. Listen, man.
But it's so good. Like I love Naruto, and then I've watched like most of the Dragon Ball ones. I like Dragon Ball a lot. my first anime that I watched was Soul Eater.
That's fucking awesome. I love Soul Eater.
Kenny and I watched that together.
Eater was so good. It's
the animation in Soul Eater is clean.
Yeah, it holds up today. Like, I love Soul Eater.
Yeah, the anime was sick, and then I'm also excited. I think the new. I don't know if I would call it season, but like the new arc for Bleach is like actually being animated like this month.
Yep.
Also.
Yes, dude. Yeah. October is going to be fucking crazy because it's My Hero, Bleach. I think Chainsaw Man. I think Mob Psycho 3. Like, October is going to be a crazy fucking month. I also want to say how you said like Naruto and Dragon Ball are like the anime everybody saw, the Starbucks anime. Here's what I'll say: you got to have some of those. First of all, I just think they're good anyway. That's why everybody's seen them.
Yes,
but you also have to have them in your repertoire. It's a holdover. Like, those type of anime having a bad rap is a holdover from like the earlier days of anime when everybody watched that, right? But then if you're a nerd like me, you got really into anime, so you found some deep, obscure shit that was really fucking good. You're like, how come nobody have seen this? And then people would get pretentious, like, this is so much better than Naruto. Naruto sucks. It's terrible. You got to watch this really obscure anime that's nobody's seen, that has 17 episodes and you can only find it on an Indonesian website. Like, that's real anime. Like, it's a holdover from those times. And there's a ton of great anime, but at the end of the day, consuming content and like enjoying all that, reading books, watching movies, it's all fun in its own right. However, if you're just doing it alone, it's kind of like, what's the point? Like, if every anime I watch nobody else has seen, then I can't talk about it with anybody. What the fuck's the point?
Exactly. Like, so you need the staples.
Yeah,
you need the staples.
Dom, if you haven't checked it out already, check out Hunter x Hunter when you get a chance.
Yeah, I've also heard really good things about One Piece, but it's like
so long.
I look at it and I'm like, damn, this is long.
If you start, by the time you finish One Piece, you'll be my size. Like,
listen.
Oh man,
One Piece is great, but it's going to take you
a long journey. It is inspiring. Here's what I always say about One Piece, and I say this to everybody that says it's too long, because it is too long. But the caveat there is that every single person I've gotten to watch One Piece, and at this point it's a lot, they've all said it was too long, and then at some point they tell me, damn, I wish there was more. They catch up, and they're like, fuck, I wish there was more.
I wish there was more, I wish there was more actual Naruto, and that I didn't have to watch Boruto.
Yeah, Boruto is not it. They need to do, so somebody...
fine. You get to like the Kashin Koji fights and stuff like that, and it's like, okay, cool, like, but it's not the same.
It's lacking the essence of regular Naruto.
Yeah, exactly.
It just lacks the essence of that.
You can't recreate the masterpiece, bro.
Somebody had a great idea though, that I don't know why I don't hear people talk about this enough, but I think it should be like a more common conversation. Somebody said we didn't need Boruto. What we needed was a prequel of Naruto that focused on like the three Sannin.
And like Minato and shit.
That focused on young Kakashi's father when he was around. Like just, like the young version of like Jiraiya, Tsunade, because like they don't really get the respect they deserve in base Naruto. Like in Naruto and Naruto Shippuden, they're kind of like not a big deal. Like they don't really like their names are these great things, but then when you watch them fight or something, they're always getting like trashed. It's like, yo, these are supposed to be some of the strongest people. Like I want to see them when they were in their primes, when they were really young, and like that would just be really cool. I think it would just be amazing. Also, another character in Naruto's lore that just doesn't get treated properly was the third Hokage. Like he was supposed to be insane, and Hiruzen, yeah, like he's supposed to be insane. And then when you see him in Shippuden and stuff, and like in regular Naruto, he loses to Orochimaru because he has a hard time killing him.
Dies.
Yeah, he lets himself die to a student. Like the first time he fights, he dies, and it's like, okay, well that doesn't like help his legacy for people who are watching the show. Like I get that he's this great ninja, but we didn't get to see that part. So it would be nice to go back and be like, yeah, let's go, 28 years before Naruto was born or whatever, and then you get to see like very young Jiraiya, Tsunade being, because they got trained by him.
Yeah, that would be awesome. There's a lot of things. Go ahead.
So like imagine it like because I'd never thought of this idea. That's so cool. But
Yeah.
like, imagine it like ending with like the Ninetales attacking.
That would be perfect.
Yeah, and then like dude, you get to sit there and like watch Itachi kill the whole clan, like watch it all happen,
Yes.
like actually happen.
Yes, Itachi would be
Like,
a character, the young version of him.
Flashback.
Shisui.
Like you watch the build up, dude. I wish that Shisui, like I wish I got to see more of Shisui.
That's what I'm
'Cause
saying.
Yeah,
This
a
prequel
whole
will solve,
Shisui arc would be fucking awesome.
a prequel will solve all of this.
Itachi arc, just chilling.
Apparently,
All of that.
apparently
all of that's
Itachi's
gold.
dad has the fucking Mangekyo too, like Fugaku.
Yeah, Fugaku.
Yeah,
That's all the shit that people want to see. It's I think the same thing. I don't know if you've ever played Final Fantasy X. I love Final Fantasy X. It's one of my favorite Final Fantasies. But in that game, you know that Yuna's father, Braska, went on the same pilgrimage, went on the same journey. And a Final Fantasy like 10-0, basically a prequel where you follow Braska and Auron and shit, go through the journey.
So
that would be so fucking cool. Because there's so much in there, and then there's also Jet, Titus's father, and his character. You get to see his growth through like these little tiny snippets, but to actually see it and play through it as a game, I think is such a missed opportunity. And it would just be so fun.
Yeah, I would be a major fan of that. But I think a Naruto prequel would slap so hard, just with all the lore that we already know is there. All the characters that we didn't get to see be badass. You get to see them actually. Like, I do want to see like the second Hokage fight against all those ninjas that eventually kill him. When he like makes Sarutobi the new Hokage, he's like, you're going to be the Hokage tomorrow or whatever, because Danzo hesitated. Like, there's so much lore that we get in the show. There's plenty that they could use to, and then like I want to see Itachi versus Orochimaru. Like Orochimaru tries to take his body. Like we always get these snippets, but I want to see like what led up to, because they were partners at one point. Like at one point, those two were wearing the Akatsuki coat together, walking around trying to get tail demons together. Like what was that like? Like what was it actually outside of Orochimaru trying to take his butt and stuff? Like
you get to see so much shit. Like you get to see like the Akatsuki forming.
Yes.
Like. Oh man,
it'll be really, really good, I think. And then there's other lore points in there too. I think Kakuzu said that he fought the first Hokage. Like,
yeah,
what the fuck does that mean? Like, how did you fight him and live? Like, did he let you go? Because there's no way you like the first Hokage is the strongest ninja.
Yeah. Oh my god! And then there'd be such crazy points. Like you get to watch Jiraiya train at Mount Miyaboku.
Yes, that would be cool to see him like when he first gets Sage mode. So sick. There's a lot.
So much awesome shit, and it goes to show like sometimes it's weird. I don't know what goes on in the writer's room, right? Like sometimes there's already so much content. Something that I really like about, for example, House of the Dragon with Game of Thrones, it's like they know they bumbled the ending, and then I know there's talks of like various sequel Game of Thrones shows being made, but there's already so much content made. You don't need to make a sequel to Game of Thrones. There's 1,000 fucking stories you can tell from George R.R.'s like history of that world.
Yeah,
you can just go there. That's what they did with House of the Dragon. Instead of the next Game of Thrones show being like some weird sequel, they were like, you know what? There's 1,000 other stories he already has written and histories that took place. We'll just do one of those. And it's at the moment turning out fucking awesome.
It's so good right now. All right. Well, Dom, I'm going to let you go. Again, thank you for coming on the podcast. You guys can find Dom on Metafy. You can find him on Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. If there's anything you want to shout out, Dom, feel free. The floor is open to you.
Yeah, so obviously shout out my Metafy at metafy.gg at Dom Couch, and then shout out Top Choice Gaming again, my sponsor, and with them also sponsored by Dragon Shield. So check out Dragon Shield. And yeah, that's shout out Fraser's podcast. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man.
It was a pleasure. Anytime.
I'm glad you were willing to come on. This is really good. All right, so I'm going to give a shout out to everyone over at our Patreon. So you guys know we have IMNerd Podcast Patreon account, where you can get exclusive content like video versions of the podcast. For example, this one. There's also exclusive episodes that drop only on Patreon. You literally can't hear them or watch them anywhere else outside of Patreon. So check that out. We'll be recording one for the month of September 2022 next week. And that one is actually going to be on a topic voted on by our Discord community, which you also can gain access to by subscribing to us on Patreon. And once you gain access to our Discord, you're on it permanently. I think our cheapest tier is like $3. So if you just want to support, show, you get with the $3 entry, you get access to the Discord, and then you're permanently in there forever. So if people want to do that, and then you can check out the other tiers. There's some other perks and stuff that people like to enjoy. So check that out. IMNerd Podcast on patreon.com. But without further ado, I want to give a shout out to Connie, Austin, Leon, Quest, Garen, Xavier, Hylian, TCG Automotive, Dimitri Barnes, Alexander Brissett, Vinny Casello, Alex Flamer, Andre Reynolds, CJ, Dubk Dad 1, Dan Vrabel, Dennis Milburn, Joseph Marcello, First to Home, Dallas Fernares, Estada Akuma, Mitchell Nels, Midwest Gaming, William Shapiro, Dimitri Safirdas, Vince Marquette, Dallas Bailey, Biz, Roz Weiss, Nick Stango, Scott Polera, Hansel, our two-time national champion, Vincent Zen. Oh yeah, Hansel is crazy, right?
Oh yeah.
Were you about to say something? Okay. Vincent Zen, Sarah Maria, Sunny at the Top Cut Podcast, Alex Ahern, Philip Campa, Jalen Haskins, and our newest member, we got Arail Melfi Slump. I hope I'm saying that right. It might be Arale, but I'm going to say Arail Melfi Slump. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, please message the Patreon to let me know. Arale does sound cool though. Arale Melfi Slump.
I'm interested. That actually, it might be Arale, and I'm only saying that this is like a deep cut reference. This could not be it at all. But Arale is the name of the main character from a manga called Dr. Slump, which is written by Akira Toriyama before Dragon Ball. Before Dragon Ball, he wrote Dr. Slump, and the main character is a girl named Arale. Well, so the fact that Arale and Slump are both in the name.
I think you're right. So Arale, Melfi, Slump for sure. I think Melfi's a Yu-Gi-Oh card. Does that even say it does say Melfi. Okay, yeah. So that's our newest patron. Thank you. Also, I want to say this. Every month, right? So Patreon charges the people who are on our Patreon whatever amount based on what you subscribe to on the tier levels and stuff. And if something happens with your payment method, it won't say that you cancel your subscription to the Patreon. It will just say that your payment method was declined. And it's kind of awkward because like I'm never going to say like the names of the people whose payment method, because like they give us a list. Like Patreon gives me and like Kenny a list of the people whose payment methods decline. Now it could be for any number of reasons, but if you feel like you were supposed to be still subscribed to the Patreon and you didn't hear your name being read out, it's because you're on that like decline list. I don't know if maybe I should just send you guys a message just to kind of remind you like, hey, it's showing that your thing has been declined, but I don't know like if you actually meant to cancel your subscription and you just didn't, or like if it was something else. So that being said, if you felt like your name was missed and you wanted to be a supporter of the Patreon and you intended to continue to be a supporter of the Patreon because at one point you were, it's probably because something happened to your payment method. So just check that out. Because we do have a list of how many people, 9 people on here that like they're just in the decline section and it's not cancel, which is like a completely different thing. So, but yeah, thank you guys so much for supporting the podcast. I really appreciate it. As I always say, it goes a long way.
Thank you.
And last but not least, don't forget, do the things that make you happy, guys, including winning a YCS with your team after you get kicked off of another team.
Mid-flight in the air. That had to be, I'm telling you, there's not many people on the planet that can imagine how good that felt. Like it had to feel so good.
I really cried.
I said I would have fucking cried. So all right guys, I'm getting out of here. I'm gonna go we'll go watch some more Big Brother, and then we're gonna do a podcast episode on that new Cyberpunk show. So me and Kenny are gonna binge watch that at some point. You guys can expect to see that coming up. But yeah, we'll be back next week for more podcast episodes and just bringing that heat. I hope that you guys really like this one. Dom is honestly one of the players that I really root for these days. He's just one of the good ones, you know? Sometimes it's just one of the good ones. All right, guys, we're out.
All right, peace.